talk to me about the events we're seeing in the world right now. Do you think when people, in war zones, or people in countries that are going into war, or even people in countries in the G7 that have accounts suspended because of protest, do you think that makes them sit up and wake up about the trust protocol they have in their finances and start looking into, crypto assets or DeFi as new options?
I think so, for sure. So, and I think this happens on two levels, right? So the one level is for the individuals, right? If you're somebody in Russia today, and I mean, I have part of my work that I do is helping people with international business and finance and things like this. And I talk to people from Russia, and it's like, they woke up and their US dollars and euros are not accessible. Let's keep in mind, these are people who have nothing to do with the war, nothing to do with Putin. These are not people who they're oligarchs or whatever. This is just normal people, right? And they wake up and suddenly they have no access to that money. They're used to getting money from YouTube, they can't. They're used to getting money from Patreon or some payment processor, Visa, MasterCard, they can't.
Exactly. Are shutting down.
Exactly. Everything is cut off. The ruble has gone down massively, right? The stock market in Soviet Union, or not Soviet, Russian, has basically gone down to close to zero in a lot of cases, right?
Like 90-some% for its big ones.
Exactly.
Right. Interest rates gone up from like 8% to 20%, which crushes the real estate market as well.
Yeah. So suddenly you're in a situation and you're like, as an individual, you're saying, where is my store of value? Like, those people have to transact. It's not like they're going to stop transacting, right? You have to go and buy bread. You have to go and get gas. You have to whatever. And so what do you trust? Well, you could say, well, what's the next country, which happens to be China, right? RMB, UnionPay, Alipay, WePay, these things. But after all these institutions just betrayed you, are you going to go trust China? Probably not. So I think probably what you're going to see is the emergence of a big crypto shadow economy that will develop in those parts of the world. And I hope that happens. I think that's actually a really good thing in the world. But then we have the other side of it, which is, what about all the other countries, right? If you're any country in Latin America, in Africa, in Southeast Asia, you're used to holding US dollars as your reserves. And you just watched one of the biggest countries in the world, okay, granted, the GDP is less than that of Spain, but still $1.4 trillion a year or something, with 600 and whatever billion dollars worth of foreign reserves, lose access like that. And you're saying, hang on a minute, that doesn't sound so good. I was holding my money in US dollars or euros because it was supposed to be safe. This is a massive betrayal of trust. Massive betrayal of trust. And so then the question is, what are you going to go to? And your options again are probably Chinese RMB, which some of them will. Like, Chinese reserves are going to grow dramatically over the next 10 years, guaranteed. I think that just as COVID accelerated the work from anywhere, the Ukraine war has accelerated the move to Chinese RMB and Chinese power. Chinese is going to do well out of this, which is really stupid for the West. It's like they've weaponized the financial system, and you've probably seen this again. When they try to clamp down too hard on something, it reverses on them.
Right.
It like gets attention and people go out somewhere else. But the other thing is going to be, okay, obviously the news was El Salvador, declaring Bitcoin as actual currency, right? Yeah. There will be other places now. There will be other places that say, even if they don't declare it as currency, they'll say, you know what, I think I'd like to hold some Bitcoin reserves on my balance sheet because I don't have to worry about sending it through the banks. I don't have to worry about this. And it won't just be Bitcoin, because once you start holding Bitcoin, you start to say, well, hang on a minute. Ethereum's pretty secure. And with ETH2, I can earn yield by staking it. So that's basically like holding a government bond, right?
Better.
There you go, right? Yeah, exactly.
Better yield.
Exactly. So then what happens? You start holding these staking assets. You provide security to the network of Avalanche, Polkadot, Polygon, Ethereum, like just start running down the list, right? And we'll see how long that takes. We'll see at what scale it is. But I think it's the big Western countries, or developed countries, I guess, Japan and stuff are not Western, I think have taken for granted their position and not really recognized, look, like you can just look demographically. What's happening? Africa is the only place that's increasing in population. The productivity is mainly coming out of Asia. Over time, we're going to have an Indian Ocean-centric world for trade, right? And then if you're, like, you will lose that power. And you should be, like, Vitalik wrote a great piece a little while ago about legitimacy. I don't know, did you see it?
No, I haven't seen it.
It's great. He said, legitimacy is the most scarce resource. And I think there's a lot of truth to that. And it's like you're eroding your legitimacy with these people. It's really, it's kind of like that you can spend 20 years building a bridge or building a reputation and 15 seconds destroying it. Right. And they just don't have that perspective. These things are precious, super, super precious, and they're throwing it away. And so, hopefully that's a win for crypto. It should be a win for crypto.
And so you think governments and even corporates and even individuals will start putting Bitcoin, Ethereum, other layer ones, or other assets on their balance sheets?
Over time, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I would say over the next 10 years. So I don't think that in the next 6 months we're going to see this flood of people doing that. Right. But yeah, over the next 10 years, I think that they've destroyed the trust. And the trust is literally the foundation of all of that. And so, what's the whole point of Bitcoin, right? It's that, hey, listen, we don't have to trust that you're going to change your monetary policy. It's that the monetary policy is built into the protocol. Yeah. And so, yeah, I think that over time, it's going to go that way. And I think that if they were the only ones, if it was only the Western countries, then they could say, okay, great, let's regulate it. Let's try and, box it in, et cetera. But the problem is, what they don't in their arrogance realize is that there's 1.1 billion people in Africa. There's between India and China, who both now are saying they'll trade with Russia in RMB. This is a third of the world's population. What are we talking about here?
Yeah.
You can't exclude this much.